by introducing myself. I am Emily Trieste. I am the Marketing Events Coordinator at Meetup, and today we are joined by special guest David Meltzer, an author, speaker, and co-founder of Sports One Marketing. You will learn about his journey to define happiness and how you can equip yourself with tools to enjoy everyday life and learn how to activate your potential. Hear why David's personal motto is, it's not the pursuit of happiness, it's happiness is the pursuit. So before we get into the event, I'm just going to share 2 more slides with just the guidelines and the agenda. So for the guidelines, this event is recorded, but don't worry, you will not appear in the video. It's just the panelists, David and I. And there's also a mute courtesy, so you will be muted throughout this event. But if you have any questions, please submit them in the Q&A feature at the bottom of your screen. And we have a sectioned out time for that where we'll get to your questions at the end of the event. And closed captioning is also available. To turn that on, you can just click on the live transcription icon at the bottom of your screen. And for today's agenda, we're just doing a quick introduction right now, and then David will take it away with his presentation, and then we'll come back for a Q&A session at the end. So I'm gonna give David a quick introduction. So David Meltzer is a legendary sports executive, entrepreneur, and investor, and formerly served as the CEO of the renowned Lee Steinberg Sports and Entertainment Agency, which was the inspiration for the movie Jerry Maguire. David has been recognized by Variety magazine as their Sports Humanitarian of the Year and awarded the Ellis Island Medal of Honor. He is also the executive producer of the Apple TV series 2 Minute Drill and Office Hours. His life's mission is to empower over 1 billion people to be happy. The simple yet powerful mission has led him to an incredible journey to provide one thing: value. In all his content and communication, that's exactly what you'll receive. As part of this mission, for the past 20 years, he's been providing free weekly trainings to empower others to be happy. So thank you so much, David, for joining us, and I hope we can get you one step closer to the 1 billion people to be happy. We are going to quickly play your video.
My personal mission, not only in life, but here today, is simply to empower you, to empower others, to be happy. Today we have an extraordinary opportunity because we can reach about 1/8 of the world and change the world in one simple day. If I can empower you, or at least 1,000 of you today, in order to empower another 1,000 people, to empower another 1,000 people to be happy, 1,000 times 1,000 times 1,000 is 1 billion people, about 1/8 of this universe. 1/8 of the world can be empowered to be happy, and there's nothing more important in life than to be happy. And I'm going to teach, through my journey, lessons of happiness. It's really simple, of how to make a lot of money, help a lot of people, and have a lot of fun. My definition of happiness is really simple. It's the enjoyment of the consistent, everyday, persistent, without quit, pursuit of your potential. And there's one thing that I know. Happy people don't have disease. They don't destroy, right? They don't have something. They're amazing. Happy people don't do bad things. Number one, you have to be happy to give it to other people. And if you're not feeling happy, then go ask for help. Ask for help. Ask somebody, can you please help me? This is what I need to be happy.
But today I came with expectation to like feel that energy today, because I just was like, if I could just get here to listen to your story today, you know, that would inspire me. And I just really want to say thank you, you know. That's why I came back, because it was just in me just to come back, at least to say thank you. You know, you might not have been where I'm at right now, but you know, your story still inspired me regardless.
All of you live in the world of more than enough, with me and through me. And so if all of us can live with gratitude, empathy, accountability, and effective communication. If all of us can consistently, every day, persistently, without quit, enjoy the pursuit of that blessing, that potential, that truth, we can manifest everything we desire. And if I can empower you to be happy, to empower others to be happy, that's what makes me happy. Thank you very much.
What an awesome video. Thank you so much for sharing that. And I will let you take it away, David.
Thank you, Emily, and thank you for the opportunity to continue on my mission to empower others to be happy. And how I define happiness was articulated in the video to teach people how to enjoy the consistent, everyday, persistent, without quit pursuit of their own potential. So many people try to live up to other people's expectations and wishes and wants. They try to focus in on what they don't have or what's missing. And then they're surprised when they get what other people want for them or what's missing or what they don't want. They're surprised when they get it and they're resentful or in an ego-based consciousness, creating interference or, as I mentioned in the video, dis-ease, the interference between you and your potential. And in order to do that, I have created 4 values that I want to remind everyone of today, and also 5 daily practices in order to create coherence of those values. And coherence is something that is a discipline or a practice that's I've defined as a habit machine. Coherence is the ability to remember those values and practices and actually do them. And so throughout the process today, I hope to instill in you and take a step beyond just the execution on these daily practices, but also the discipline of coherence to remember the values and the practices and to actually do them, which leads me to the first value, the most powerful thing that we have on earth, and that's our gratitude. Gratitude gives us perception. Gratitude gives meaning to everything that we see. And it's so interesting because whether I travel the world or sit with the thought leaders of the world or with students around the world, every single person agrees that gratitude is the most powerful way to change your life. Simply by saying thank you before you go to bed and when you wake up will have a decisive impact on your life. And it's so amazing because it's free. It's something that we've learned since the time we've been about 3, and we have not been disciplined or coherent in, but gratitude takes about 0.1 seconds. It obviously adds value. When we appreciate what we have, it adds value to it. When our house appreciates, it goes up in value. When a car appreciates, it goes up in value. When an asset appreciates, it goes up in value. So whatever we pay attention and give intention to, that coincidence is appreciated. It adds value to it, which just reconciles the fact of how powerful gratitude is. And although nobody disagrees that gratitude is so powerful and it takes 0.1 seconds and it's free, by tonight, half of us won't say thank you. Even though we're all in agreement in the power and the ease in which gratitude comes, half of us won't say thank you by tonight. And by tomorrow morning, another half of us won't say thank you. And within 3 days, almost all of us will have lost our coherence. We will have not remembered and not said thank you. Even though I've studied metaphysics, quantum physics, physics, all mathematics agree that adding value, living in a value sum game, will increase your life. It will propel you to a better place, a better situation. And so the first value, in order to utilize the toolbox of happiness, the tools of happiness, to enjoy the consistent, persistent pursuit of your potential, is gratitude, to give you the perspective and the meaning of everything that you do. The second value is forgiveness or empathy. Now, a lot of people get this confused with sympathy. And sympathy is putting ourselves in someone else's shoes. And I'm here to tell you that you cannot be sad enough to make someone happy. You can't be sick enough to make someone well. And you certainly can't be poor enough to make someone rich.
Forgiveness is so powerful because it brings us peace. You see, most people create the resistance, create the void shortages and obstacles, and create the interference between them and their potential. And when they can identify that interference between them and their potential, forgiveness takes that dis-ease, that interference, and creates ease. It puts us at peace. It allows us to be efficient and effective and statistically successful, allows us to be inspirational with the ease of what we're connected to and through. Forgiveness is something that if we possess as gratitude, we can give to other people and put them at ease as well. The same way that we can make people happy by giving the happiness to others. Happiness is the most viral of all diseases. It is rewarded biochemically when we give to someone and make them happy. Serotonin's released into our system, dopamine, oxytocin. The person who is giving, the same effect has, but even more powerful through gratitude and forgiveness. The person who witnesses it also receives dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, endorphins, kind of a reminder, a recollection, a remembrance to do so that we can have coherence of gratitude and of forgiveness to allow us to enjoy this pursuit of happiness and yet utilizing happiness as a pursuit. The third value that's in the toolbox of happiness is accountability. Now, most people live in liability. I'm unfortunately a recovering lawyer, so I was not only living in liability below the line, but I was trained in liability. I was trained in blame, shame, and justification. Most people live below the line in accountability, creating interferences, void shortages, and obstacles in their life by utilizing blame, shame, and justification to tell themselves why they are where they are. You see, most people do go the extra mile and they live in liability in that extra mile because they go the extra mile every once in a while, not every day. And we talked about the consistent, persistent pursuit of our potential. I find that most people that live below the line in liability, they lie to themselves. They go to the extra mile every once in a while, and then they utilize the time that they went the extra mile to justify why they are where they are, and understanding in shame and blame why they're not where they're at. And so we have to live above the line in accountability. Now, my first definition of accountability was that asking two questions. Number one, what did I do to attract this to myself? And two, what am I supposed to learn from it? And what I realized was, even within the context of learning and taking accountability for everything in my life, there was an essence of blame that still was there, an essence of punishment through thinking that because I did something in some sort of trade or negotiation, I was now being punished by something negative happened. So I have changed the definition of accountability to, what did I do to participate in this perception that's been created with my gratitude and forgiveness? What did I do to participate in this perception? And what am I supposed to learn from it? You see, life is about lessons. The lessons are going to keep on coming until you learn them. You are going to forget every single lesson, but you have the power to access those lessons at any time. That's why when I'm giving speeches around the world, I always tell people, look, I know there's two types of people. There's people right now that are not going to take one note and think that they're going to remember everything that I said, or two, people that will write down every single thing I said. And the effect or outcome of both types of people is that you will not remember. So what I want you to do is to write down or codify or reposit the lessons that resonate with you, and create a system, more importantly, to access those lessons. You see, my garage is full, like many of you, from high school, college, graduate school, and many, many personal development workshops and masterminds. I have just boxes and boxes and boxes of notes that I thought were important facts or lessons that I needed to know. But unfortunately, Nobody taught me just to codify and reposit the lessons that resonate with me, and most importantly, to create a system to access those lessons so that I can be accountable. I can write down and tell myself, what did I do to participate in this perception, and what am I supposed to learn from it? Utilizing gratitude for perception, forgiveness for peace to put us at ease, and accountability to teach us the lessons and give us control. We now utilize the fourth value of effective communication. Now, when I first thought of effective communication, I thought of how can I inspire others? And I didn't realize that I was not in control, not at peace, and had the wrong perception or the wrong meaning of my activities. And when I realized that I no longer needed to get more happy, no longer needed to get more healthy, no longer needed to get more wealthy, no longer needed to get more worthy, when I realized that I needed to effectively communicate with an omniscient, all-powerful, all-knowing source, an omnipresent source, something bigger than me, no matter what your religion is, what your philosophy, spirituality, theories are, I believe that faith is derived from knowing there's something bigger than you that loves you more than your mom. And if we effectively communicate with that, we realize that we don't have to live in a world of not enough, a world where we're victims, where everything happens to us. And we don't have to live in the world of just enough, where we buy things to be happy, buy more things to be happy, buy different things to be happy, buy things that we don't need to be happy, buy things to impress people to be happy, buy things to impress people we don't even like to be happy. What we realize is that the world is not happening to us or for us, but through us, in an omniscient, omnipresent, everything world, more than enough of everything for everyone. And when we have faith that we're connected to and through and can communicate effectively to this omniscient, all-powerful, all-knowing source that's omnipresent, and allow it to come through us for others, we can realize that we can live in inspiration. You see, people get confused about motivation versus inspiration. Motivation gets us up, gets us back up, gets us started, and gets us back started. The problem is that fear can motivate us. Just like a rocket ship, fear will utilize 90% of our fuel just to get us up, just to get us off the ground. And what we want to do is learn effective communication that I am already happy. I am wealthy. I am worthy. I am healthy. My energy should be used in effective communication and inspiration to figure out, what am I doing to interfere with it? What am I doing to put myself at dis-ease? Through gratitude, giving myself the right perception, through forgiveness, creating that ease and flow and inspiration, through accountability, giving me control to identify the ego-based consciousness, to identify the fear, and then effectively communicating of what I already am in a world not of not enough, where things happen to me, not in a world of buying things you don't need to impress people you don't like, of things happening for me in a trade and negotiation, in a limited world, but in an infinite world, a world of more than enough of everything. Through gratitude, forgiveness, accountability, and effective communication, you can create abundance. You can enjoy the consistent everyday, persistent without quit pursuit of your potential. You can make a lot of money, help a lot of people, and have a lot of fun. But those values alone are not going to get you there. We need to practice those values, and we need to practice them every single day, in order to allow an aggregate effect, to allow the exponential growth, to allow the acceleration of the consistent, persistent behavior. Because behavior is compound in interest, the same as money. And Einstein's theory of 72 exists with behaviors as well as with money. And good behaviors compound and negative behaviors compound. And so we need daily practices in order to effectuate the best, most efficient, effective, and statistically successful practices and behaviors that are going to aggregate and accelerate us into the right trajectory, not the wrong trajectory. And there's a 3-step process in order to utilize these 5 daily practices. The first is through appreciation, right? We add value to everything. We acknowledge what we have simply by letting it go. Excuse me. So we expand what we appreciate, and we acknowledge what we have simply by the only way we can acquire the knowledge of what we have is not to have it anymore. So if we give it away, if we lose it, if we allow it to be stolen, taken from us, manipulated, oversold, back-end sold, lied, manipulated, or cheated from us, it doesn't matter. The acknowledgement of what we have is the true lesson in value of what we've had. And we can only acquire the knowledge. We can only acknowledge what we have when we don't have it anymore. Now, most people live their life in appreciation and acknowledgement. They want to give. They literally may put too much attention on when they lose it or have it stolen from them. But most people want to appreciate and do what they have, and then they acknowledge it by wanting to give it away or giving it away. But the third essence of the daily practice is asking. People ask me all the time, what would I tell my 18-year-old self? And I always say it's the same thing I tell my 28, 38, and 48-year-old self. Ask for help. Write that down. Is the easiest and fastest way to get to where you want to be, is find someone who sits in the situation that you want to be in and ask them for help. Part of the reason I belong to this meetup group, this community, is to ask for help, not only to provide help, to give directions, to provide the dummy tax that I've paid. Look, I've lost over $100 million in 2008 and made it back. I want to help other people share in my expense. I want to share my dummy tax with people so that they can accelerate to where they want to be by me giving them directions. Not only must you appreciate what you have, you must acknowledge it by ridding yourself of it, but you must ask for more, filling up the new growth that you've created through the process. If you don't ask for more, all that appreciation and acknowledgement will dissipate, dissolve, and disappear, and you'll end up at the end of your life with nothing, and you'll end up needing someone to help you instead of asking them to help you when you don't need it, but instead are empowering yourself to empower others. So what are these 5 daily practices? The first one is know your what. You see, a lot of people don't know their what they want today. See, you have to know every day what you want realistically today. Now, the past is all relative. You can give any meaning to the past. In fact, I've given a meaning to my bankruptcy, losing over $100 million, and it's one of the best things that's ever happened to me, because I've given it that meaning, knowing that if it didn't happen to me, I probably would be divorced or dead. And either way, I wouldn't be as happy as I am today. So I'm very grateful for losing everything. See, I can give meaning to my past. I can give meaning that's relative to where I am today. And I can give meaning to my future. So therefore, when I think about what I want realistically today, I put it within the context of the meaning of the past, but most importantly, the meaning of the future. I put it in the context of giving myself a trajectory of a goal, an objective that's so outrageous that it scares me and everyone I talk to. So when someone asks me, so Dave, what are you going to do in the future? Look, I'm going to change the world. I'm going to empower over 1 billion people to be happy. I'm going to teach 1,000 people like you to teach 1,000 people to teach 1,000 people to make a lot of money, help a lot of people, and have a lot of fun. They're going to be happy and empower others to be happy. They're going to live in a world of more than enough of everything for everyone, not a limited world where everything's a trade or a negotiation, where there's not enough, not a world where you give to receive, but you already have received so you can give. I'm going to help people know what they want realistically today in a trajectory that makes people laugh at you, scoff at you, and make fun of you, so that eventually they'll applaud you. And the best thing about utilizing this philosophy of knowing what you want as the first daily practice, if you know what you want personally today in a trajectory in the future, if you know what you want experientially today, what you want to do, the activities that you want to do and experience in a trajectory of the future, If you know what you want to give, produce, provide value today in that trajectory, and receive. Those are the 4 things that I look at every day. What do I want personally, experientially, giving and receiving wise in order to effectuate a trajectory, an accelerated journey to what I think I want in the future? And the luxury of thinking what I want in the future and giving meaning from the past to the meaning, the relativity of the future, is I can change my mind. I love hypocrites because hypocrites are fast learners. I love someone that changes their mind and can tell me why. That means they're learning. That means they're utilizing gratitude and forgiveness, accountability, and effective communication. That means they know their what every single day, and they, through the personal, experiential, and giving and receiving values and activities, they have learned something, and therefore they have made a modification to their trajectory. Now, the most interesting thing about knowing your what is that if you looked at my what for today, after laughing at me, scoffing at me, and making fun of me in the future for wanting to change the world, after you're done laughing, if you say, well, how are you going to do it? And I say, well, all I know is what I'm going to do today. This is what I want. It would be extremely realistic. If you looked at all of my daily practices, if you looked at my calendar, nothing would be outrageous. You would just say that's a very active calendar. You're very productive, accessible, and gracious with your time. You are very manageable and efficient and effective and statistically successful, but there's nothing you're doing that's incredibly super. There's nothing that takes extraordinary effort in order to do. It's just a matter of reality. These are real things that I do with efficiency, effectiveness, and statistical success. So after you know what you want in a trajectory that's unbelievable in the future of what you think you want, let's go to the next daily practice. Now, I am going to provide everybody these values and daily practices. You can get my email me directly. I'm happy to send these out to you so that you can start practicing them. Remember, these are practices. You're only going to get better. It's progress, not perfection. I'm practicing these every day and getting exponential results, accelerating and empowering my happiness. The second daily practice is know your who. Now, you see, when you know your what, you've gone from nothingness, from being a tube, food in, food out, paycheck in, paycheck out. You've gone from nothingness with what you want to a possibility. The minute you know what you want, it's a possibility. You now have a mathematical advantage every single day to be happy. The second step is know your who. When you know who you can help with what you want and who can help you, you now take that possibility and you make it a probability. Another mathematical advancement in the day in the trajectory of what you think you want, that outrageous objective, midterm, long-term objective in the future, by doing what you need to do today, by knowing what it is, who you can help, and who can help you. The fastest way to get to where you want to be is either to help someone get to where they want to be or ask someone that's already there for directions. It's that simple. People ask me, how did you make all that money back? How have you changed your life and empowered so many people? Blah, blah, blah. I ask for help and I help people. I wake up every morning and ask God, may you please put 10 people in front of me that I could help. And then I added, as I learned this modeling of the daily practices, and by the way, can you give me 10 people that can help me? I'm creating a network of sponsors and power sponsors, a community, a meetup community of sponsors and power sponsors, a bunch of open-minded, open-hearted, and open-handed people that have 2 objectives. 1, to be of service and value, and to ask for service and value. There's either people that can help me or people who know people who can help me. It's that simple. That's all I'm looking for, are open minds and open hearts and open hands within the context of this community. People who know what they want and they know who they can help with what they want or who can help them. The third daily practice, to take that possibility to probability, now make it your perspective, another mathematical advantage, is to know your how. And in order to know your how, you need to understand time. In order to understand and reconcile time with gratitude and forgiveness and accountability and effective communication, when we reconcile time, you have to use your calendar. So I call it studying your calendar. I study the activity I have planned. I study the activity I don't have planned. I especially study my sleep. You see, my tomorrow starts today. I have an unwinding routine with an objective of putting myself, mind, body, and soul in a position to recover, as sleep should, but also to access and communicate effectively with that inspiration, so that when I wake up in the morning at 4 a.m., that I am at a higher level, a higher plateau. I have a new baseline for the day to realize the expectation of what I want, who I can help, who can help me, and how to get it done. I am more efficient, effective, and statistically successful. I use 3 lenses when I study. The activity I planned, I don't have planned in my sleep. The activity I get paid for, and the activity I don't get paid for. You see, I don't believe in work. Work creates resistance. It sounds hard. There's just activity in my day, and how can I utilize that activity most efficiently, effectively, with statistical success? I use 3 lenses. 1, a lens of productivity. So when I study those activities, I look to see how productive I can be, how much value I can provide, and who I need to ask. I also look for accessibility. How accessible am I? And how can I access what I want? And then finally, I reconcile time with gratitude. See, I know that I can find light, love, and lessons in everything and everyone, but I need to know, is it worth my time today, according to the activity I planned, activity I don't have planned, and my sleep. Once again, creating the efficiency, effectiveness, and statistical success aligned with what? That's right, with what? What I want personally, experientially, giving and receiving, who I can help and who can help me. This allows me to know the how. How am I going to get it done? And if you know your what, it's a possibility. If you know your who, it's a probability. And if you know your how, it's your perception, it's your perspective. Then the 4th daily practice is knowing your now. You got to know your now. You see, when you know your now, in other words, when you know what to do now, and you do it through the coherence that I'm teaching today of remembering what, who, and how, and actually doing it, the what, who, and how, you now will do it now. And 100% of the things that you do now get done. It's one of the great percentages in expectations of the world. See, I have a great saying about statistics. My favorite statistic in the world is 99% of all statistics are made up. Now, a few of them I know are true, like 100% of all short putts in golf don't go in. But the one that has changed my life is the 100% of the things I do now get done. It's twice as efficient to do it now. It's twice at minimum statistically successful to do it now, because if you do it now, you can't forget it. But the main value of doing something now is the confirmation of prioritization. You see, prioritization is the antidote to 2 things that frustrate or create interference to most people's lives, that create people to live their life like tubes: food in, food out, paycheck in, paycheck out. See, prioritization is the antidote to living your life like Camus in The Stranger, the myth of Sisyphus, right? Most people live their life, they push a boulder to the top of the hill just to have it roll back down again every single day. But utilizing the 4 values in the 5 daily practices, knowing your now, learning to prioritize according to the what, the who, and the how, you now have the antidote to 2 things. First, procrastination. See, it's impossible to procrastinate if you prioritize. If you prioritize, you will do things now. You always know what to do next. You'll be able to reassess and re-engineer those values, not just by what's urgent, but more importantly, you know what's important to you, not what's important to other people, not what's missing, not what you don't have. You see, most people don't use the great chain of feeding when they reconcile the prioritization of their activities and their values. They don't utilize the great chain of feeding. So what happens is most people spend about 80% of their time with people, ideas, events, and situations that bleed them. And this is true for the biggest companies in the world to individuals. For some reason, we can't help ourselves without reconciling the time into the fact that, hey, this person bleeds me. I need to prioritize somebody else that feeds me. And if we can prioritize not only is it the antidote to procrastination, not only does it allow us to utilize and take advantage of things that feed us so we can feed that thing that feeds us, knowing we are limited each day in reality, not the past, that's relative, not the future, incredibly relative, into an outrageous goal, hopefully objective of yours, but most importantly, reconcile today with the man-made construct of time. See, today's the only place that time is not relative. There is 24 hours today, 1,440 minutes. Those people that are the most efficient, effective, and statistically successful, most active with their time, are most productive, are most accessible, and are most gracious. They are most likely to make more money, help more people, and have more fun. They do enjoy the consistent every day, utilizing those 24 hours persistently every day without quit in the pursuit of their potential. People who prioritize and are doing what's important to them, not what other people, not what's missing or they don't have. People who prioritize don't procrastinate, but they also don't feel overwhelmed. See, they live in abundance. They live in a value add world, not a zero sum game. So when they're receiving, they're adding value. When they're giving, they're adding value. When they're active, they're adding value. Everything's a value add game because the universe is expanding, growing, and accelerating. It's not stagnant and just sitting there or shrinking. It is not a scarce universe. There's more than enough. And we have to have the faith, of course, there's more than enough of everything for everyone. If you believe there's something bigger than you that loves you more than your mom. And if we can utilize prioritization in order to effectuate what's important to us, then we're able to utilize and live our lives with that prioritization and in the pursuit of our potential, our truth. Which leads me to the fifth daily practice. Now, the fifth daily practice, if you know your what, it's a possibility. When you know who you can help and who can help you, it's a probability. When we know how, utilizing that student of our calendar, paying attention to, plus giving intention to, the 5 levels of intention, by the way, are not only what we do, what we're active with, not only what we say and put out there in the universe, not only what we think and be rich with, not only even what we believe, but the 5th level of intention is what we feel. And that feeling of confidence and inspiration, that feeling of coincidence, that mathematical equation of luck of what we pay attention to plus what we give intention to equals those coincidences in our life, giving ourselves another mathematical advantage of the what, the who, the how, and the now, possibility, probability to perspective. But that prioritization makes it real, makes it our reality. But that reality is only as good as our why. See, most people live their lives searching for the why. They're searching to be more happy, more healthy, more wealthy, and more worthy, as I stated before. But they haven't learned to apply their why. See, we're much more inspired when we're applying our why instead of attaching our emotions to an outcome that already exists. It's amazing how much resistance occurs when you pay attention and give intention to a coincidence that you think you have control of, when you pay attention to and give intention to an outcome instead of a cause. You see, time is created between 2 different variables, 1, cause, and 2, outcome. That is how time is created, cause and effect. The biggest misuse of time is people are in search of what they already have. So they have created a distance between a problem and a solution. Problems and solutions are one when you apply your why. So how do we apply our why? How do we live in inspiration? How do we live, I am happy, healthy, wealthy, and worthy, and figure out what I'm doing to interfere with it instead of searching for what we already have? Well, not only must you have faith that there's something bigger than you that loves you more than your mom, so no longer are you punished in a world of not enough or just enough, but instead you're living in promotion and protection. Pain itself is just an indicator you have a better place, a better situation to be in. It's indicating abundance in your life. The way I best describe how this all works of promotion and protection is that when I was 3 years old, my mom's a 2nd grade teacher. talks to everyone like a second grade teacher. Even though I'm 54 years old today, she still talks like a second grade teacher to me. But when I was 3 years old, I went and reached out to touch a hot stove. And my mom, who never even yelled at me, immediately slapped the back of my hand and screamed at me, no. I immediately started to cry. Mom, why are you punishing me? What did I do? I don't understand. Why'd you hit me and yell at me? What did I do? And she hugged me immediately and consoled me and coddled me and said, what are you talking about? I love you. I love you so much. I didn't want you to hurt yourself. I'm protecting you. I'm putting you to a better place, a better situation. You just don't know what that stove is going to do to you in the future. So every time you don't get what you want, every time you don't get what you want, you don't get into the school you want, you break up with an individual personally or professionally, you don't close the deal, the agreement ends up to be a lawsuit, whatever it may be, some pain, shortage, or setback, it's a setup. When you have faith, there's something bigger than you. When you are applying your why, you are being protected and promoted. You are living, yes, in ignorance. See, there's two types of people. There's ignorant people and ignorant people. There's ignorant, arrogant people, like I was when I was young, where I knew I didn't know what I didn't know, but I was so afraid to admit I didn't know what I didn't know. I pretended to know what I didn't know, and I projected that onto other people, and I was ignorant and arrogant. But I moved into the world of more than enough, a faithful world of something more than me, bigger than me, that loves me more than my mom, and I am promoted and protected because of ignorant humility. I know I don't know what I don't know. I saw a picture about a week and a half ago about the Webb telescope, billions of galaxies. If that's not confirmation, you don't know what you don't know. Billions of galaxies with trillions of variables. How do you know whether, that circumstance, event, or person is punishing you or promoting you? It just takes faith. And so how do we practice this applying the why? One, identify what's interfering with it. Identify what's interfering with your inspiration. Identify what's interfering with your abundance. What's interfering with it is ego. It's edging goodness and happiness out of your life. EGO. That's what it's doing. And you have to identify the needs of it, the need to be right, the need to be offended. If you just take those two and think about the time, emotion, value, money, and relationships you have ruined and wasted just by those two, the need to be right and offended, man, you would already have made a lot of money, helped a lot of people, and had a lot of fun. But what about the need to be separate, the need to be inferior, superior? How about the need to be anxious, frustrated, or angry? How about the need to be resentful or guilty? How about the need to worry? That's a duplicative negative. When we worry, not only are we creating interference between us and the omniscient, but we are also manifesting what we don't want. We're wishing for what we don't want, and complaining is the same. So we need to make a practice of identifying those ego-based consciousness, that interference that put us at dis-ease. Remember, I said happy people do not have dis-ease. I wasn't talking about sickness. I was talking about dis-ease, the interference between you and abundance. You, happiness, health, wealth, and worthiness. And if you can practice identifying when your mind, body, and soul are on fire, if you can practice identifying that ego-based consciousness when you're edging goodness out of your life, putting yourself at dis-ease, then you can take the second step of the fifth daily practice of applying your why. And the second step is to stop. Now, most people resist it. They out logic it, out analyze it. When they're in ego-based consciousness, when they're angry, frustrated, guilty, resentful, separate, they're resisting it all they can. They're thinking about it, let it go. They are trying to overcome it. They're trying to go around it. They're trying to go through it or under it. They're trying to lie to it, manipulate it, and cheat it. Simply stop. Breathe through your nose, out through your mouth. Drop to your higher self. Drop to center, put yourself at ease, and then remind, remember, and recollect. Remind to what? Remember to what? Recollect to what? To the omniscient, all-powerful, all-knowing, omnipresent source that inspires you, so you can roll in the right trajectory of what you want personally, experientially, giving and receiving, to make it your possibility. To who who you can help and who can help you to make it your probability, to how being a student of your calendar, paying attention and giving intention to the coincidences that you want with the activity you have planned, the activity you don't have planned, and your sleep, making it your perspective and your now, making it your reality. This is when we identify the ego-based consciousness by applying our why, that we are happy, healthy, wealthy, and worthy. We can figure out what we're doing to interfere with it by practicing identifying when we're interfering with it, knowing that our mind, our body, and soul are on fire. And we all know when you're on fire, you got to stop, drop, and roll. I promise you, I will give them to you. If you utilize these 4 values of gratitude to give you perspective, forgiveness to give you peace, accountability to ask, what am I doing to participate in that perception, and what am I supposed to learn with it, giving me control. And of course, effectively communicating with the bigger, omniscient, all-powerful, omnipresent source that loves you more than your mom, to be inspired and utilize the 5 daily practices of knowing what you want, who you can help, who can help you, how best to get it done, prioritizing what's important to you, not just what's urgent, and applying your why. Oh, I promise you, you will make a lot of money. You will help a lot of people, and you will have a lot of fun. You will enjoy the consistent everyday, persistent without quit pursuit of your potential, and you will be happy. And you will learn to empower other people to be happy. And if you can do that, it will make me happy. Thank you so, so much. I'd love to have a little bit of Q&A as we finish up. I appreciate the opportunity, Emily, to be here. Hopefully you are as inspired as I am.
I definitely am. Thank you so much for sharing all that tactical information and giving us 5 steps of how to achieve this ourselves. So actually, before we get into Q&A, I'm just going to give people a few more minutes to submit their questions. But while we do that, I'm just going to share one slide with your links to make sure that people can stay connected with you. So I am going to share your links in the chat. I'm just doing that right now.
Thank
You can
happy.
You can join David for his free Friday trainings. I put the link in the chat, and then you can also reach out to David directly through his email, which is also in the chat. So I'm going to look at the Q&A that's been submitted and see what we got. All right, so first question we have from Yvette. She asked, could you remind her what the 4th value is?
Yeah, effectively communicate is the 4th value. It's inspiration. So learn to communicate with your source and allow it to come through you for others. So learn to effectively communicate, shift the paradigm from trying to get more, connecting to something, instead connect through what you're already connected to by knowing you're happy, healthy, wealthy, and worthy, and allowing the 5 daily practices to figure out what you're doing to interfere with that abundance.
Thank you. Milan asked, the background and foundation of the outlook you're teaching seems to be faith in a God greater than us who loves us more than our own mother. I know people who abandoned their religion, people who are genuinely atheists. How do you find such faith? Do you just have to be lucky?
Yeah, so it's interesting because whether you're religious or not, I find it interesting. I'll tell people, and I told people at one time in my life that I didn't believe in a God, and my own mom said, you may not think you do, but you may want to ask yourself, what God are you serving? And I was serving the God of money. And I think it's really important for us, whether or not in a spiritual, theoretical, or even a religious sense, we believe in something bigger than that. I think most importantly, it's what are we serving? And I find with, as I said, the trillions of variables and billions of galaxies that exist, that all in a general sense, I need to believe in is there's something bigger than me that loves me more than my mom, which leads me to the fact that I'm being protected and promoted, that allows me to utilize my values and daily practices to expand, to grow, and accelerate, to be kind to my future self and do good deeds. And this system works for me, and has worked for many, many others that through my free trainings over 22 years that I've given, my groups that I have that meet every Monday, and we work and help each other, and even on a one-on-one sense with the biggest companies in the world, this methodology with no religious belief tied to it, or it can be tied if that's what you believe in, it seems to work in a very easy, no pun intended way.
That's great advice. Thank you. So it can be very flexible for anyone, disregarding any beliefs you have. So Rebecca asked, what are the 5 steps again?
So
yeah,
I talk very quickly, so this is a common question, and so thank you for asking it. Number one, I'll send it to anyone, so with all the details, the 5 daily practices, which I'll send to you, david@dmeltzer.com, it's in the chat. Number one, know your what, personally, experientially, giving and receiving. Know your who you can help and who can help you. Know your how best through the activities of the 24 hours I have in a day of activity I get planned, don't have plan and sleep. Know your now, prioritize is the confirmation, and then apply your why. Identify what you're afraid of, an ego-based need, stop, drop, and roll. And like I said, I don't expect everyone to have that down pat, memorize it. I'm more than happy to send these out to you. Everyone, just email me, david@dmeltzer.com.
Thank you. I even wrote them down on my notes, so let me need to keep these in mind. Grace, actually, sorry, I skipped one. Someone else asked, have you experienced self-sabotage? If you have, how do you overcome it?
Yeah, I experience self-sabotage every day. And so the number one thing that I do is I practice identifying it. I practice identifying this need to be separate, inferior, or superior. All those needs right there create self-worth or self-sabotage. And so what I've done is instead of spending days, weeks, months, and years in creating interference between me and my potential, by self-sabotaging myself, by living with an energetic and genetic inheritance that has a certain thermostat that I put on myself, by telling myself certain stories and living within the limitations that have been put upon me or I put upon myself, I practice every day identifying those separations, and I utilize this stop, drop, and roll methodology. And my main objective is not to alleviate myself from these fears, from the self-sabotage, but only practice to spend minutes and moments in that separation. Only spend minutes and moments every day. I used to spend days, weeks, months, and years and accelerate in the wrong trajectory so often, and I'd wonder, why can't I get to where I want to be? Why is there such a big void, shortage, and obstacle in my way between me and what I think I want? This methodology, this practice is the best and easiest way to speed up the journey towards what you think you want.
Great. Grace asked, when did you come up with this life practice? And I kind of have one that goes along with it that I was kind of curious of. So how did you come up with the values and the daily practices? I think they kind of go along together.
Yeah, so it's a little bit longer story, but I have to tell it. So I was a multi-millionaire at a young age. And at 30 years old, my father gave me a birthday present, the first one in 20 years. He had left when I was 5. My mom raised 6 kids, single mom, packed my dinner in a paper bag in Akron, Ohio. I was a multi-millionaire, married to my dream girl with everything I ever dreamed of. And my father gave me my first birthday present in 20 years. He gave me a jacket. And when I opened it up with pure joy, he had torn all the pockets, the lining out of the jacket. I went from complete joy to hate. I called my father and told him I hated him. How dare you send me this? What do you think of me? He said, no, son, I'm just worried you're just like me. You think money will buy you happiness. Son, hang the jacket. It's not for wearing. Put it in your closet to remind you that money will not buy you happiness. You're just like me. And I said, Dad, I hate you. You're a liar, a cheater, a manipulator, an overseller, a back-end seller. I want to be nothing like you. And I hung up. 6 years later, my best friend told me he didn't like what I was doing and who I hung out with. I told him I hated him. My wife, 2 weeks later, told me she was leaving me. I came home at 5:30 in the morning from the Grammy Awards with Little John the Rapper. I lied to her. She told me I had 3 daughters under 10, told me she's leaving me. This is a girl I've known since the 4th grade that I adored and loved, and I couldn't believe my life had come to it. But I still, that day, said I hated her. And as I sat the next day on the end of my bed, thinking how much I hated my parents, how much I hated my best friends, how much I hated my own wife, that jacket appeared. And my wife's last words to me before she left was, you better take stock in who you were and what you want to become, because you're going to end up dead. And I saw that jacket, and it reminded me that I don't hate my dad. I don't hate my mom. I don't hate my best friend. And I certainly didn't hate my wife. I hated myself. I hated myself, that I was a liar. I was a cheater. I was a manipulator, an overseller, and a back end seller, just like my dad. And I needed to take stock in who I was. And that's when gratitude, forgiveness, accountability, and effective communication came into my life. And I started to create practices over 16 years to effectuate not only my passion, purpose, and profitability, but my ability to empower others with the same. And here I am 16 years later with more money, more help, and more happiness than I ever dreamed of, and more people doing the same. That's why I take the time to be here today, to be a part of this community. I can't think of a bigger and better community to change the world in, with a better energy. This is the collective consciousness that I dreamed of, and being able to have the opportunity to hopefully share not only these words, but the practices and exercises with you, so that you can remember what it is and to actually do it.
Wow, that is a powerful story. Thank you for sharing with us. So I guess kind of what you're saying is to remember where you came from, and money doesn't buy happiness.
Yeah, but it does allow you to shop. And if you shop for the right things for the right reasons, you'll be happy. So I try to teach people to make a lot of money, but shop for the right things for the right reasons,
That's
and there'll be an
true.
incredible joy for you.
I think we have time for one more question. Let me try and find a good one.
They're all good questions. It's just
Yeah,
the
they're
answers
all
that
good.
it's just the answers that are okay.
That's what I'm having trouble with. I'm like, they're all so good. How do I pick just one? Um, Cheryl asked, can you have too much accountability, taking on blame for everyone?
Yeah, so that's the understanding that I kind of evolved to accountability means to me, what am I doing to participate in that perception? So am I participating by taking too much blame? Am I participating by justifying with ego what has happened? Am I being liable in this? Am I worthy? What are the issues? What am I doing to participate in this perception? That's where the power comes into accountability. What do I learn from this? How can I get better? How do I plateau and grow? How can I compound my behaviors to the successful trajectory, not create more interference or dis-ease? How can I put myself at ease? And so that's a really important question. I'm not surprised you picked that one, because it's really powerful, because that's what people do, is they look and they say to themselves, I'm blaming myself. I'm going to blame other people. I'm justifying it because of this. Now I'm shameful. I didn't get to where I wanted to be. So now I'm justifying it again and blaming more people. Instead, just be accountable. Tell yourself, what did I do to participate in this through liability, blame, shame, and justification? And what am I supposed to learn from it so I don't do it again? Utilizing the values and the daily practices will create that abundance. Remember, if you feel overwhelmed, you're in an abundant world. That means you have more than enough. You have more options, opportunities, and touches of favor. It's a really positive thing. I'm just trying to give you some framework, a daily practice that allows you to get the most out of your life and enjoy the consistent, persistent pursuit of that. Anyone we didn't get to the questions, email me your questions. We'll get back to you, David@dmeltzer.com. I'm available. I'm of service. My name actually means, believe it or not, Emily, David means beloved, and Meltzer means waiter or servant. So I am truly a beloved servant, and I'm here to serve, especially this community. And I want to thank everyone at Meetup for the opportunity to share.
Thank you, David. It was such a great event that you had, and you provided us so much great insight. Before we go, I'm just going to share one more slide just to wrap this up. So last year we launched our podcast, Keep Connected with our CEO. If you'd like to listen to more conversations about community and connection, and David was actually on this podcast, so if you want to check out his episode, please just scan this QR code or follow the link and you can check it out. And as a reminder, you can do a recap of this event on our blog page, Community Matters, at meetup.com/blog. That will be up next week, so you can catch up on anything that you missed, or if you just want to rewatch again for fun. And thank you again, David, for being here. We learned so much from you.
Thank you, everyone. Be kind to your future self.
Have a great night, day, morning. Bye.
Bye.